Hey guys, how y'all doing out there? Happy Christmas to you. Today is actually, what's the date today? Let's see. December 17th, 2020. So, just gonna make a video today talking about one of my biggest influences in music. Uh, just an all around great person that you really wish you could have met, but couldn't because of whatever reasons. We're gonna talk about one of the best guitar players who ever picked up the instrument in this world, and that's Randy Rhoads. William Randall Rhoads or Randall William Rhoads, however way you want to read it. This video here is basically my take on everything I've ever read about Randy Rhoads' last day alive. This book right here, Rudy Sarzo's Off the Rails book, is incredible. It's when you read it, you find out a lot of info. I mean, I must have read it 10 times, and I'm still getting the facts and trying to sort everything out, how it played out, at the time. And I think Rudy Sarzo is just an amazing guy. He's stand-up guy, great guy. So anyhow, like I said, this is just gonna be my interpretation, giving you some facts. I mean, everything I'm going to say or not going to say or whatever, I'm gonna mess some stuff up because I'm human and I make a lot of mistakes. It's a second. Sorry for my phone. Okay, so Randy played his last show on March 18th, 1982 in Knoxville, Tennessee. And there's a picture that he took with two girls afterwards. He's wearing a Gibson guitar shirt, and there's a girl here and a girl here. And it's supposed to be that's the last photograph ever taken of him. That's what we think, but now knowing later on the events that I'm going to continue talking about, where it picked up kind of thing. So yeah, on that last long bus ride from Tennessee to Florida, where they were going to Orlando, Florida to play a gig with Foreigner. They stopped off in Leesburg, Florida. Now I'm Canadian, so I don't really know much geography. I don't have a clue how far Tennessee is to Florida. I just don't. But apparently it was quite a long haul. So when they got there pretty early in the morning because, according to Rudy in his book, he said that that he was awakened in his bunk around 8 or so in the morning, and it turned out to be Randy, asking Rudy if he wanted to go for a little ride in an airplane that was at the place where they landed. It was called the Calhoun Brothers Estate, or Flying Baron Estates. A beautiful home. Like they rented out tour buses, airplanes, whatnot like that. And there was a landing, a runway that was there on the property, and it was a very huge property. If you ever looked at a picture of afterwards, and when you see the helicopters reporting the news of what had happened, you can see it's a very, very big area. So the bus driver, Andrew Aycock, was also a private pilot. He had his own, he flew helicopters and planes, and nobody really knew that actually too. So there was a lot of airplanes that were there in storage that were just there, and they belonged to people and whatnot. So the bus driver, Andrew, bus driver pilot, he took a plane out that was there, and it shouldn't have. He took a plane out without permission from anybody. He just hauled it out from the where it was in the hangar or wherever where it was located, and it was I believe a 1955 Beechcraft Bonanza. I believe it was. And I believe that model of plane actually was the plane in which Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, the Big Bopper, were killed in. That was 1959, I believe. So the tour manager, Jake Duncan, and the keyboard player, Don Airy, went up in the plane for a few little, just a few little loops and turns and whatnot, trying to buzz the bus, like coming down and going back up. And Don Airy would say to this day that he said that it was just a few passovers or whatnot, and that was it. They landed and everything was fine. So Randy must have obviously had witnessed this and what they were doing, because he was off. Andrew offered him the chance to go up in the plane and take a few, aerial shots, because Randy had a camera that he liked to take pictures with and stuff, and he thought that it would be nice to go on this plane and take pictures of the countryside, because it was a beautiful area. You can see it on the crash reports and the helicopters going around, like I mentioned a while ago. And it was just a really nice place. The home was beautiful. It was really nice. Um, so Randy obviously had seen that they went around, and they made a few what they call buzzing or whatever. The buzzing the tour bus, supposedly trying to wake up Tommy Alvarez. I guess that's what he was doing. So then you have Randy, who's by all accounts scared to fly. He really didn't like flying, and he did it. I'm sure he tried to avoid flying as much as possible. So when they landed, the pilot got out, and he had a conversation with Randy. I'm sure with Randy, and they're asking. He asked their seamstress, wardrobe girl, Rachel Youngblood, if her and Randy would want to go up and take a few flights. Just flying around, whatever. Just nothing fancy, because he knew that she had a fairly bad heart condition. So he promised them that there would be no fooling around, no nothing like that. And that's when Randy said, okay, well then, you know what? If that's all it's going to be, if it's going to be something so simple like that, sure, I'll go up for a ride. And so it's supposed to be that Don Airy took a picture of Rachel and Randy before they boarded the plane, and I don't think that photo has ever surfaced. There's one that we see a lot of Randy and Rachel hugging by the tour bus. Randy's got a white tank top on, and I don't think that is the picture, because it's supposed to be the picture that were last taken of Randy and Rachel was right outside of the plane before they got in it. The one I'm talking about is right outside the bus, so I really don't think that's the picture, unless it is the picture and somebody just said that, well, it was taken by the plane, it wasn't taken by the bus. I don't think it would matter really, because you have to get off the bus to get to the plane. So maybe they just paused for a picture or whatnot, because they all knew that Randy liked to take pictures of stuff for his mother. So like I said, I said it a while ago, Randy's agreed to go up in the plane because he was under the impression that the pilot, Andrew, was not going to do anything that was scary or something, because Rachel, like I said, had bad heart problems. So he said, just a few loop-the-loops kind of thing, not loop-the-loops, I don't even know what you call it, I'm not a pilot. He said, okay, so they boarded the plane, and so yeah, they must have just, like taxied out or whatever, found the runway, got in the sky, and if you look at a picture of a Beechcraft Bonanza, especially one from 1955, the windows are very, very small, and it looks to me, any experience I've seen in planes and whatnot, it seems to be relatively small. So for somebody to look at the plane and see who's in there, I think that it was kind of so small that you could barely see inside the windows of that plane. So anyhow, it's supposed to be that they went up and they made a couple of passes just over the whole scene, and then on the first attempt at buzzing the plane, buzzing the bus, they'd come down. If this was the bus, they'd come down and they'd miss it. Zoom, and go right back up. He did that. Well, it's disputed sometimes. There's different. Whoever you read. Sometimes you can read that he buzzed the tour bus 3 times. Sometimes you can see that he buzzed it 4 times. But anyhow, with the initial accident, the collision, I should say, sorry. It must have scared Randy quite a bit, and I'm sure Rachel was very much scared too, because when you're going that fast in an airplane, it's supposed to be he was going in excess of 150 miles per hour, which is fast. It's fast as 150 miles per hour. Where I'm from in kilometers, that would be, wow, easily 2 200 kilometers an hour, 225, 250 for sure, you know, around him. So they estimate that he came so low to the ground on the last run. He did three. We'll say he did three, and and I'm sure, and Don Airy has seen this. Don Airy thinks that he was able to look through his camera lens up at the plane, and he said he could describe what going on. It looked like a struggle on board between the pilot and Randy. Maybe Randy was freaked right out and says, you know, stop doing this. Let's land this now, you know. And you know, we don't know. We don't know what was said to anybody on that plane. We don't really know if there was an argument between Randy and the pilot. Uh, you know, I mean, how could you know? So he says that he was able to describe what looked like an argument on board. You know, and then like Rudy, a lot of the people that were on the bus said that it looked like Randy was trying to stop him from getting too close to the bus or crashing into the bus, killing everybody. I guess if he did that, that is incredibly amazing, and you know that's an amazing choice. That you know it's sad if that's what really happened. It's sad because I don't care if you hate flying or not. That would still be a very very scary situation to go into that, and then come you're just going around and you're playing and you're gonna nosedive down and then you're gonna just miss your targets being fun. You know, that's what they want to. He went up there to take them up for just for a little joyride. You know, wouldn't think that Randy Rhoads didn't think he was gonna step onto that plane and lose his life. You know, so I'm gonna say the third run, or no, we'll say the fourth run. So, you know, just passing down, come back up, circle around, come down for another pass. It's two. At this point, I'm probably thinking to myself, okay, Randy went up there to take a few pictures, but now he's probably terrified out of his mind that, you know, the bus driver is going to lose control and, you know, kill them all. So, the third time, and then on the fourth time, he really estimated how close he was, I believe, to the bus. The plane came down so low that the left wing clipped the side of the bus, basically a collision with the side of the bus, which basically killed Randy and Rachel, right there from the impact, and as well the pilot too, Andy. So to sum it up completely right now, I suppose, is when they hit the bus, it caused the plane to go into an out of control spin. At that point, I don't think you need to know, you got to be a pilot or anything about planes to realize that it hit the bus, the target, whatnot, and it lost control and it spun cartwheel-like things, and one of the wings shattered. I mean, it cut down a pine tree that was right there next to the house. It just severed it, just went right through it, and it careened, boom, it landed into the garage that was attached to this beautiful home, and I believe there was 2 cars in there, and the wreckage of the plane went in there too, and they just basically burned. It's so sad to say it. It's incredibly sad. You don't want to picture somebody dying in that way, because their bodies were burnt beyond recognition. They had to use rings to identify Randy's body and Andrew's and Rachel's. Supposed to be they when they crashed into the house, the garage. Supposed to be that it was just body parts. I mean, Sharon Osbourne has said that. She said there was body parts everywhere. And I'm reading in Rudy's book, and he says that after the initial contact with clipping the bus, it said that Rachel and Randy's heads went through the windshield. So I got to thinking about that, and I was thinking, well, it's one thing for them to get completely thrown through the windshield, but their heads, that's really hard to think about, and so my gosh, like what could have, the impact would have been so severe that it decapitated them. It blows your mind because, and actually there could be some truth to that, but it doesn't make sense to me in the fact that when it landed in the garage, Randy's body was outside of the plane. So then you think about it, well, how did he come to rest outside of the plane? It could be the whole theory that he went through the windshield and somehow stayed somewhat in the plane, out of the plane. I don't even know how to describe it really when you think about it. For his body to have been carried onto the plane, maybe he was halfway out the front window. I don't know. I can't even believe I'm talking about this. It is so tragic. But how did he end up outside of the airplane is a mystery to me. It is. If you think about it, and you try not to think about stuff like that too much because it's just a bad scene. I just cannot imagine how hard it was for everybody that was there to deal with that loss. After the first initial impact with the bus, uh, Rudy was telling everybody, "Get off the bus, get off the bus." So they got off the bus and they had no clue what was going on. Still, I mean, Rudy had some knowledge, right, that the plane had crashed, and he had declined to go up in the plane with Randy. He said he was just going to sleep on the bus, because Randy came on board and said that, he's going to take us up for a little joyride over the countryside. Come on out, get dressed, it'll be fun. And he said, no, I'm going to sleep till later on. And he says it in his book, and he says it like that, and he says, he's like, I was never to see my friend Randy Rhoads again because he stayed on the bus, fell asleep. But when the impact happened, they got everybody off the bus, and they still didn't know what was going on. Rudy knew that the plane had crashed, but he had no clue who was on it. But their tour manager, Jake Duncan, was on the ground and was crying, saying that Randy and Rachel are gone, and he would point to the house where there's a fire going on, and nobody knew what had happened. The only person that knew where the two was Don Airy, who witnessed it. Jake Duncan was there too outside, so I'm assuming that he's seen it as well. So, yeah, it's just such a tragic story. Like, you don't think something like that. It's innocence. It's just it's bad. And if Tommy would have not Tommy, sorry, Rudy would have went with Randy, he would have died too. So he must think about that an awful lot. And Rudy's a really nice guy. I've said that he's a great guy. I think he would be a great guy to have as a friend because he's just a nice guy. I would love to meet Rudy Sarza. I would love to shake his hand and tell him, that he's quite a man and a musician, real nice guy. So basically, in the end, Rachel, was killed. Randy was killed. And Andrew was killed. And the fire eventually got so big that it almost consumed the entire house. You could see the helicopters going by, the news people. The shed is just completely devastated, and in the house, there's a few videos on YouTube here with that those point of views that showing the crash scene and whatnot. And so basically, that's what happened to Randy Rhoads. Like he went up there, he went up in that plane just to take some pictures. I guess that's all he wanted to do. He just wanted to take some pictures that he could show his mother, and whatever. I mean, I definitely do back the fact that Andrew was really messing around. And I got to point out that when they did the autopsy on Andrew Aycock, they said that he had cocaine in his urine, but wasn't it really in his blood? I guess it was in his urine, and Randy just had nicotine in his system. So people say, well, he wasn't going up there piloting this plane, thinking that I'm gonna get high on cocaine all night or whatever, and then fly a plane in the morning. He had no clue what he was going to do when he got to Leesburg. None of them didn't even know where they were really. But there was cocaine in his system, so it makes you wonder how much of a factor, you know, being up all night driving a bus. I don't know when he did cocaine last. I mean, it's their thing, I guess. So people say, you know what, it was the pilot's fault. He was high on cocaine. We can speculate that, I guess, or we can debate it or whatnot. But I think that he did have. I mean, it was in his autopsy. It was found in his system. So I'm going to say yes, he had cocaine in his system when he died. And his not recklessness, but his lack of concern, maybe because of his state he was in. He might have just thought, we're invisible. I'm not going to crash this plane. I know what I'm doing. But yeah, it's just that's what happened with Randy Rhoads. He was killed in a terrible, tragic plane crash that never really should have happened. And Randy hated flying, and people are wondering to this day what made Randy Rhoads get onto that private plane, a small private plane. Who, how could you? It's such a waste. it's a tragic waste. It reminds me of Cliff Burton from Metallica. I'm a huge Cliff Burton fan too, and whenever the bus accident happened that killed Cliff, by all accounts, he never even woke up from his bunk, which I really hope that's the way it is. And then Randy, it's like Cliff Burton played no role in his death. It wasn't his fault. And Randy Rhoads, the only part that he played in his own death was getting on that airplane. So just that, and he didn't expect to die. You know, he had, so in a way, Randy Rhoads had nothing to do with his own death, and I can't imagine how scared he was around the end, especially if the pilot wasn't listening to him when he was saying let's land, like right now, because like it's getting, I'm getting scared. It definitely would be interesting to get Randy's point of view. Well, it's impossible, obviously, but the music world lost a lot with the death of Randy Rhoads. Totally, a lot of people lost a lot of hope. That style that he was bridging, together, it's just he was a really good musician. And I mean, actually, on that last bus drive from Knoxville to Florida, Randy had said to Ozzy that he wanted to quit rock and roll and go to UCLA and get a degree in classical guitar. And Ozzy said, "Are you crazy?" He's like, wait till we get some money and some success under our belts, and you got, then you got the rest of your life to do that. For Ozzy to have said that on his "Don't Blame Me," the documentary talking about Randy, he told Randy that, he said, you got the rest of your life to do something like that. Let's get in rock and roll and make some money. Then Ozzy said, he wasn't like that. He wasn't a reckless guy. He wasn't a rock star. He drank very little. He never did drugs. He was a chain smoker, but Ozzy said he was a musician and he just wanted to get his degree and then go from there. Randy was leading that type of genre, that neoclassical, bringing that classical element into metal, hard rock music. And I mean, take a song like "Over the Mountain," that main riff, that's a pretty heavy riff, for coming out when it came out. It's one of my favorite songs with him. But anyhow, this video is getting kind of long, 22 minutes. I wanted to layer it out certain ways, but I think that I forgot exactly what I was in the order I was going to say stuff. But I guess there's not much more that really can be said. I think about it now. It was such a terrible trial. And I obviously wasn't around when Randy Rhoads was killed. I'm only 38 years old. I was literally born 9 months, almost to the day after Randy died. He died on March 19th. I was born on December 14th. Doesn't mean anything. It's just strange. So, God bless Randy Rhoads. And, Dolores is no longer with us. Rest in peace, too. I actually called her one time. I had their phone number. And I called and I got to tell her, how much Randy meant to me, music-wise. And she said, thank you very much. I appreciate it. And then her son, Kelly, he and I have talked on the phone for probably 45 minutes. We had a lot of different discussions about different stuff, and he told me stuff I didn't know. And, it was such an amazing time speaking with him. The fact that I got to speak to Randy's mother meant a lot to me. And I have their autographs all on something, a picture of Randy. That's somebody who went to his memorial service on March 19, 2000, I believe it's 2007 or 2008. I think it's 2008. And I have that, and I really treasure that very much. It's autographed by a few of the people who knew Randy and were brothers, and his brother and sister. So anyhow, if you enjoyed this video and if you learned something from it, that's great. If I may have messed up something or forgot where I was going with something, which I think I did. I'm gonna have to review this stuff. I'm not sure quite how much I messed up. I haven't made a video in a while, so I'm a little nervous. Plus, but yeah. So thanks for watching. I'm gonna do another video like this soon. I'm not sure about who, but it's nice to tell stories that people have said, but to correct them. Years and years and years, people say different things, but if they're headstrong on what they're saying, but that it's not authentic, and you kind of want to clear that up yourself. But so long live Randy Rhoads. I got Ozzy shirt on. I have his Jackson Randy Rhoads downstairs. That's in some of my videos I use. It's red, basically the entry model to the Randy Rhoads Jackson guitars. It's I hardly ever play it. I baby it. So anyhow, thanks for watching, and if you like this, just give her a thumbs up, comment all you like. Yeah. So thanks for watching. Happy Christmas, and we'll talk to you on the next one.